everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am just going to do a whisper ramble for you guys today, and boy, do I have something to say. I was actually planning to record this on Sunday, and then I didn't get around to it, and then something happened on Sunday night, and I thought, well, now I actually have something to tell when I do a whisper ramble. So, I'm just gonna dive straight into it. So, we had a really bad storm here over the weekend. It was kind of all over Europe, but it started in Ireland, as it mostly does. And we had it really bad on Saturday. I didn't think it was particularly bad on Sunday night, but I was lying in bed at like 2 a.m. watching TV. I was not asleep yet but I was like ready to go to sleep when all of a sudden I heard this really loud bang. And I remember thinking, because the storm was hitting in Belgium as well, and Belgian news was being all like code orange and emergency phone number activated, events canceled, schools closed on Monday. I was like, get a grip, people. Like, we have code orange storms here every 2 weeks in the winter, and that's not exaggerating. We really have like a bad storm pretty much every 2 weeks. Very used to it. But I feel like it kind of came back to bite me in the ass, because I heard this really loud bang and I immediately knew it wasn't normal, because my house makes noise at night anyway. It creaks a lot, and especially during a storm, there's a lot of noises. But this was bad, so I jumped out of bed, ran downstairs, and saw that my front door was wide open. Keep in mind, this was 2 a.m. So I initially thought, because I'd gone to the grocery store earlier that day, that I'd forgotten to lock it and it just blew open. So I ran over, locked it, and it wouldn't close. Like, it just wouldn't close. It's not even that when I pulled down the handle to just simply close the door that it would stay closed. It was basically a limp piece of wood. It was just constantly swinging open. And I was so, like, my anxiety was so high. I haven't had my heart go that fast because of fear in a really long time. I was shaking. I was so flustered. It took me a few minutes to figure out what was going on, because I kept I kept unlocking and locking the door, and it just wouldn't stay closed. So I was like, what is happening? And then I looked around and found a piece of metal on the floor, which I thought turned out not to be, but I thought it was the lock that comes like out of the door when you turn the key, that had broken off and was on the floor. And I was like, great, the lock is broken, like it's not gonna close. It's 2 a.m. I can't call any of my friends to come over, they're all asleep. I was like, what am I gonna do? So I took a kitchen chair and tried to block the door, which worked. I have to say, like, it ended up staying closed for the night, but I didn't want to go back to sleep, because I thought, like, I didn't trust that door not opening again during the night. Now my front door opens up into a hallway, but right off the front door is the door to my living room. So I decided to just stay in my living room all night, watch TV, so that I could listen for the door. I did think to myself, I've seen this on American TV, like, there should be 24-hour locksmiths. So I Googled them. I called 5 24-hour locksmiths in Galway, and not a single one of them picked up their phone. And these were all cell phones. It wasn't like I was calling the office. I was calling a cell phone of someone who was clearly supposed to be working the night shift, but didn't pick up. Nobody called me back either. I was just mad at this point. It wasn't like I was not really expecting to find that Galway had 24-hour locksmiths. So if I had not found a single one online, I would have been like, well, it's Galway. I mean, it is what it is. But the fact that they advertise themselves and some said on their website 24-hour emergency locksmiths, I was fully expecting to get someone and nobody answered, so I was really mad at this point, but there was nothing I could do, so I decided to actually just work. I ended up working at 4 a.m. and just keeping myself busy. So then in the morning, my landlady usually parks her car outside of my house, and since she owns the house, I figured that she would have to pay for it, but I didn't want to be that person who got a locksmith. It might be very expensive, and then call my landlady and be like, here, there's the bill. I wanted her to kind of offer to pay for it, if you know what I mean. So I was like, great, at least I'm up. She usually parks at like 7 or 7:30 when I'm still asleep, but I thought at least I'm up. So if she gets here, I'll just grab her and show her what happened and see what we have to do. But she wasn't there that day, so I called her at 8:30, told her what happened, and said, look, I don't really know what to do. I said I called several locksmiths, none of them replied. And I also don't know if, like, who is a good locksmith. I don't know how much this is supposed to cost. Like, if I go with someone super expensive, but there are cheaper ones, like, I don't know. And also, landlords and landladies in Ireland usually have, like, a list of people on hand that tend to do stuff, like, after their hours, and they have people for everything. Like my previous landlady did. If there was something broken in the house, she would have someone on her call list that she could ask to come fix it. So I also said to her, I'm just wondering if maybe you know a locksmith that can do this. But she didn't. So she said, you know what, leave it with me. I will call some people, and I'll get someone out to you. She said, I don't really care how much it costs. I just want the house to be secure. So she calls me at 10 and says, I have called 8 locksmiths between 8:30 and 10, left voicemail messages, and not a single one of them picked up or has called me back. At this point, I was so angry. I thought, what a lack of service. It's after 9. You would at least expect them to be on at 9, and just nobody was responding. And I thought to myself, what if you get locked out of your house in the middle of the night with nowhere to go and there's nobody there to come help you? Like, what are you supposed to do? I just don't get it. But anyway, on her third attempt to one particular number, the guy picked up, and I think one person called her back sometime during the day out of the 8 that she called. So he said to me, could you just go outside, see if there's any damage to the door, and take some pictures for me? And it was then that I noticed that that metal thing was not the actual lock, because when I turned the lock, I could hear it click. It was one of the, my lock has 3 locking points. There's like 3 brackets in the door frame, one at the top, one in the middle, one at the bottom. And the piece of metal I found was the middle bracket that had just completely broken off. I also found a small piece of the top bracket. So I sent him a picture, and it was at this point that my mind started going, because, you know, I researched true crime a lot. What if someone kicked in the door? Because there's been so many storms here. This has never happened before. I texted a few friends of mine. Almost all of them said, I've never heard of wind blowing out a locked door. So I was just like, I was really starting to go crazy with this, but I waited for the locksmith to come. He said that he'd be there by 12. At this point, I don't know what I did with the chair, but it wouldn't keep the door closed anymore every time, because the storm lasted until Tuesday, so it was still really windy on Monday. Every time the wind would pick up for like 10 minutes, my door would keep opening. So he ended up showing up at 12:30. He told me he'd be there at 12 at 11. So for an hour and a half, I stood in the hallway with my hand on the door, just holding it closed. I was so over it. Like, I was tired. I hadn't slept all night. I was anxious. I was angry. It was a bad day overall. So he showed up at 12:30, installed new brackets, and I asked him, I said, look, is it possible that someone kicked in my door? And he said, because I told him, look, in my mind, I know that if someone wanted to rob my house, they would find a more subtle way to get in. Like, I have neighbors on either side of me. It was a really loud bang. Not that any of them came to check, but if someone had been like rummaging around in my house, I think they would have noticed, combined with the loud bang. So I said, I just don't think someone would do that. He said, well, maybe it was like a drunk guy who thought it would be funny, but I live in a really boring estate. I also live like really deep into the estate. I don't live near an exit, so it's kind of a weird spot to do that. And he said, I think it's highly unlikely because your door isn't damaged. He said, I think if someone were to kick in your door would be damaged, but there is zero damage on your door. The only thing that's broken are the brackets. And I said, well, how does that happen? Because there's 3 of them, and the wind really wasn't all that bad on Sunday. And he said, the only thing I can think of is that because we didn't find a piece of the top bracket, but it was also broken, he said the only thing I can think of is that the top bracket was already broken for a while, and that it put a lot of strain on the other 2 brackets, and that they just wore down over time, and that there was probably one really bad gust of wind and they just completely broke. So he fixed it. It's all done. I ended up like letting my manager know, and I was like, look, I know you're going to an event today, but by the time you come back, I don't think I'll be online because I just don't see myself making it to the end of the day. And she was like, no, that's fine. I ended up working until 4, like 12 solid hours, and I needed that. I had a lot of work to do. I feel completely caught up after those 12 hours. I didn't really take a break either. I was just really busy. But then I went to bed at 4:30, thinking I was going to watch TV until about 7, but I fell asleep at 5, switched everything off because I was so tired, and I slept until 10 the next day. Like, I thought I'll go to sleep early, I'll probably be awake really early, but it's, I'll start my day well. And I ended up sleeping for 18 hours. 12, 5, 17 hours. Yeah, I ended up sleeping for 17 hours straight. I'm a long sleeper, but I don't usually sleep that long unless I'm jet lagged. Like, that was long even for me, but I always think if I sleep that long, I must have needed it. But I am at that stage now, though, where I'm not sleeping well at the moment because I keep waking up, listening for the door. I can't get it out of my head. There's still like 1% of my brain that thinks someone might have kicked down the door, and I keep going back to that. So I ordered them today. I haven't picked them up yet. I ordered a security system today. They're just like 2 cameras, one for the front door, one for the back gate, just for peace of mind, I guess. If something like this happens again, at least I can see if it was a person or just the wind. It's something I've been thinking of for a while anyway. I've had the impression for a while that someone keeps dumping trash in my little alleyway at the back gate. Again, could be from the many storms we have that stuff blows over, but I just don't think it, because they're very high walls around it. So I've been wanting to put a camera there for a while to see if someone is dumping trash. So I thought this was as good an excuse as any to buy like 2 cameras, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm like a little freaked out about it. It was the worst night I've had in a very long time. Yeah, I mean, I was up all night. I was also just extremely anxious all night because of what happened. And I don't know. It was just not good. So, was that everything about that story that I wanted to tell? I think so. I also, so a couple of weeks ago, I went to get my car serviced in a garage. It was supposed to go to its inspection last week, and I always get it serviced before the inspection to make sure that everything is okay. So I had to go to the office for like 2 days because the garage is near the office and they had to keep it overnight. And so I went to inspection last week and it failed. On emissions, it fucking always excuse my language, it always fails on emissions. I have had 2 new catalytic converters. I can't even count how many new sensors, and it's still, they break every single year essentially. And I said to my garage, surely that's not possible. And they said, well, it kind of is, because when the cat first broke, we opted to go for a very cheap one because for the amount of years you were still going to keep this car, it wasn't worth putting the expensive one in. But the cheap ones break every 2 years, and I am lying. It didn't fail inspection last year. It did 2 years ago. So she said, because my check engine light isn't on, which it usually is when my cat breaks or my sensor breaks. She said, look, bring it back in. The guys will try to like rev it really hard and take it back to inspection and see if they can get it to pass. She said, but it's very likely that at least next year you're gonna have to get a new cat again. A cat is a catalytic converter. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. And it regulates your emissions. So it, that's kind of shitty as well, because I was supposed to bring my car in back on Monday, but I couldn't. I couldn't leave my house until the locksmith got here, and just, it was really bad weather. Same on Tuesday, still like huge storm. Then I was gonna go yesterday, but I had meetings yesterday, like too many. Like the garage is like, it's a 40-minute drive away, but it'll take me 2 hours to get back home with public transport. And since they need to keep it for a couple of days, I can't just go to the office for the day and pick it up again at night. I have to actually go home. So I need like at least 3 hours that I can skip out, which wasn't possible on Wednesday. And then today I thought, oh, you know what? If I bring it in today, I'm going to lose it for the weekend. And I do have to go to the store and stuff at the weekend. So I think I'm just going to call her and see if I can drop it in. Well, actually, I might do my store one on Saturday morning and then drop it in on Saturday afternoon when I have when I don't have to hurry to get home. But I'm here all of next week, and then the week after I'm going to the UK, and then back to Spain. So she really needs to get it passed next week. Otherwise, I'm kind of in a problem, because if it fails inspection, you get 30 days to get it retested. If you don't do that, you get a fine. So if they can't pass inspection by the end of next week, then I'm not going to be back before my 30 days are up. And I had that before, where they kept it and said, let us just keep it for a while, we'll work on it, and we'll take it to your inspection and make sure it passes, and then you just pick it up whenever you're back from vacation, which I can totally do. I just don't like doing that. I don't like leaving my car on a garage parking lot for weeks on end. Although at this point, if they steal it, I might be cheaper off. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really like doing that. So I'm hoping that if I break it on Saturday, it's not going to be too late. But I'll talk to her, the receptionist, and just see what she says. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I talked about this before that I'm going to the UK, but I booked tickets to go see a Manchester United game. They're playing against a Belgian team, which, like, I have no affiliation towards that Belgian team. I will be supporting Manchester United. I just thought it was fun that they were playing against a Belgian team. So that is on February 27th. So I'm going to that, and then that's a Thursday, and then on the Saturday I'm gonna fly from Manchester straight to Spain. So I thought, I haven't been to London in a really long time, in 4 years actually, and I love London. It's also so close. I don't know why I don't go more often. So I've decided to just go to London from Monday to Thursday, and then from there go up to Manchester. I'm really excited about that. I booked a couple of musical tickets. I booked to see Hamilton, which I've heard so many incredible things about on Broadway. I didn't even know they were playing it on the West End, but they are. So I got tickets to see that, and then I also got tickets to see Wicked. I love musical theater. Whenever I'm in London, I try to go see it. I haven't yet to see one on Broadway. I've been to New York twice and never made it to a musical. But yeah, I saw Wicked the last time I was in London 4 years ago for the first time, and it instantly became one of my favorite musicals. I just thought it was amazing, and I knew I wanted to go see it again as soon as I could. So I'm definitely going to see it again this time. And that, I think, is kind of it, because I am really trying to save money, and I just keep going places. So yeah, I mean, Spain, I don't really have to spend money. I'm staying with my parents. I'm also working from there, so I don't really spend a lot of money when I'm in Spain, not more than I would in Ireland. But I definitely think, although knowing me, but I definitely think I'm going to skip Florida this year. I'm still hoping that I can buy a house. It'll depend a little bit on whether I get a pay rise this year, which I'm hoping for, but I don't know. If I have a prospect of buying a house by like next year, then I'm willing to skip the US for a year, so that I can do that. But if it just looks like I'm not going to be able to do it for years to come, then I'm not going to not go on vacation for that long. So I'll just have to wait and see. I'm also thinking, this is something that I've been thinking of for a while, but like a lot in the last few days. I'm thinking of opening a second YouTube channel that is just true crime, like not ASMR, normal. But I wouldn't be doing cases that I'm not doing here, if you know what I mean. I don't have time to research like 5 extra cases per month, so I want to get back to doing true crime once a week on this channel, and then doing either 1 or maybe 2, if I can find the time, other videos during the week. I just need a break sometimes from researching true crime. But my thought was, I don't really do anything at the weekends except for watch football. And I used to try and record my videos at the weekend, but the truth is that I just don't want to get dressed at the weekend. Like, I just don't want to do anything other than watch football. So I thought, if I take the time between games and before and after, because it's like, there's nothing in the morning, there's nothing at night, it's just all afternoon. If I take that time to research like 5 or 6 cases in one whole weekend, then I have enough to record for the month, and I will be done researching for an entire month, so that I can take a mental break for a month and then get back into it for the next month. I don't know if that's going to work, because I have so many good ideas and so many bad intentions. Like, I just don't actually follow through a lot, but I do want to give it a shot. So I would probably research a a case for this channel and then also cover it not ASMR style on another channel. I don't know why I'm asking for your input, because I'm not expecting you guys to go to that channel since you'll be getting the case in ASMR. But do let me know what you think about it. I always appreciate you guys' feedback a lot anyway. So I think I'm just going to leave it here. I wanted to talk a little bit about my dairy-free diet and how that's going, but I think I might make a separate video about that because I have a lot to say about it, I think. So yeah, that is it for this whispered ramble. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I sped up a lot towards the end. I was really trying to make this quiet, or like slow. But I think I'm still a little messed up from what happened Sunday night, so I just got a little, I don't know, fast. Yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys